I think also we need to remember that dark romanticism is part of romanticism, and romanticism deals with the fantastical. And so dark romanticism does too. It just deals with a different kind of fantastical than what you would see in like some of the transcendentalist writing or even just plain romanticism. So the plot is often going to be fantastic. It's going to contain probably allegory or symbolism. And for dark romanticism, it will show that interest in the supernatural, in terror, in madness, abnormal psychology, that sort of things. Our characters often have mysterious origins, and they also tend to be an exaggeration. Suspense and mystery are very present, particularly surrounding the supernatural, which makes sense because we just came off the Enlightenment, right? Where science is kind of everything and the supernatural is kind of poo-pooed. And dark romanticism in general begins to bring that back. There's also an interest in light and shade and contrasting. I don't know if you paid attention to that as you read Hawthorne and Poe, but it's really interesting to go back and look at the contrast within the words. There is a extreme interest in evil and its origins. How did this person come to be? How did this crime come to be? And the descriptions of various mental states, which often verge on abnormal, are all parts of it. Okay, these are probably not new literary terms to you, but we haven't talked about them specifically in class. Tone is the attitude of the author that comes through in a piece of writing, whereas mood is the feeling that the author tries to make the reader experience. These are not the same thing. A lot of times people will use these interchangeably, but they're two different words with two different meanings. Can tone and mood sometimes be the same word? Bye, Elena. Safe travels. What do you think? Could we have a disgusted tone and a disgusted mood? Would that be in the realm of possibility? Absolutely, right? Could we have, I mean, is it always that way? No, right? Think about things you have read that have felt very off-putting to you. The tone is probably condescending or arrogant. I don't know, what other tones ruffle your feathers a little bit? Yeah, when the tone and mood split, that causes some really interesting tension, which does make it feel a little more real. Absolutely. I don't know. I think mostly the tones that probably set us on edge are the condescending ones, the arrogant ones, um, that kind of thing, right? And so sometimes an author does have one of those tones, and that could affect our mood, but they are different, okay? It is important to know, however, that tone and mood are both set by things like setting, imagery, foreshadowing, and very intentional words and phrases. All right. We are swayed by those sort of things. Okay. Parts of a short story, really quick. What's the antagonist? If you had to give it just a base definition. Close. Bad guy. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be a person. Okay. The antagonist is really whatever is set in opposition to the protagonist. But yes, a very base level would be like, this is our villain, okay? Whether it's a person or a concept or whatever. However, it really is more whatever is in opposition to the protagonist. Right, could be nature, could be robots, who knows, right? Could be the protagonist's own mind, absolutely. Our protagonist then is our hero or the good guy. However, the protagonist is also often the main character. And is our protagonist always a good guy? Mm-mm. Yeah, it might be morally gray, has some faults, Kind of like Romeo. Great. Here we go with that again. So our protagonist is essentially who the story focuses on, right? I am not saying in any capacity that you should go watch or read these books. Do you guys hear me? This is not an endorsement. It is an example. There was a really popular show and book series. The show just concluded, I think, this year, maybe last year, called You, where the protagonist of that story is a deeply troubled man who stalks his love interest, and it's very, very creepy. Would we consider him a good guy? Probably, based on that description. No, but he is our protagonist, right? So think through that a little bit, what the story focuses on. Protagonists and antagonists are set up kind of in contrast or opposition. Um, okay, theme is a main idea or a central message in the story. Is this a lesson or a moral? Is it what it's trying to teach you? Is that the same thing? It's not. Trick question, sorry. Um, theme can point to a moral. Theme can help us decide what we should learn from it, but theme is generally more broad than a moral. So things like revenge, or love, or justice, or chaos versus order, those are themes, okay? We have two types of conflict. Internal occurs within a person. So this is like a person struggling with their own thoughts, their own convictions, maybe even a mental illness. External would be literally anything else. So man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society. Okay. It is comparable. You're right, Burton. And then setting is where and when a story takes place. All right. So we're going to use all of those ideas in our discussion of Poe's short stories today. Let's start with Black Cat, my least favorite short story of all Poe stories, even though I love Poe so much. What were your thoughts? Already read lots of interesting thoughts in Yellow Dig about this. A little bit confusing. Creeped out by the cat and the main character. Got it. You actually have a phobia of cats? Interesting. So you might read this one a little bit differently. It was strange. It made your heart break. Mm-hmm. It is on the edge of insanity. Absolutely. Flat out weird. It did. It kept getting worse and worse. Like it was so untethered, right? No, I hate it. I hate this one. But I like it. The reason I continue to teach it is because of the visceral reactions. No, I hate this one so much. It's my least favorite. Okay, let's talk about this illusion. Why is our cat named Pluto? Think back to mythology, not Mickey Mouse. Yeah, the Roman god of death, known as Hades in Greek mythology. Okay. So that is, well, the planet's kind of fun too, but it is more that reference to the Roman god of death, which is interesting. We've gone over so many literary devices in our study. Can you find one that just like really stuck out to you, whether it was in this story, whether it was like an image, a simile, a symbol, anything that kind of really stuck out to you in this one? Yeah, the cat's white spot is absolutely a symbol. Talking about the gallows, bit of foreshadowing there. Okay, Black Cat's on page 108. Ugh. I do have so many notes here, but